My name is Beth Wheeler and I am studying the effect of urbanisation on native aviation fauna. This inquiry focused on the environmental impact of urbanisation in the Sydney Basin on the sustainability of the native aviation fauna. A study by the New South Wales Office of Environment and Heritage identified that Sydney is home to over 70 endangered bird species. The same study identified that, contrary to the vulnerability of the native bird species, pest species of birds such as the common myna have increased their populations twofold in recent years. This inquiry investigated a suspected link between the survival of these species and their ability to adapt to urbanisation, and whether their survival, supported by urbanisation, was a catalyst to the increased vulnerability of the native aviation species. Search engine Google Scholar, Curtin Library, Boolean searches were used. Local councils were also directly called to identify local initiatives and programs in place to reverse the damage of urbanisation on local fauna. Once these groups were identified, their specific websites were investigated and any relevant reporting completed. Further investigation was considered. McKinney in 2011 suggested through his research that the endangerment or extinction of native bird species is due to increased infrastructure and therefore the reduction of habitat and food sources, forcing fauna groups to fragment. Further fragmentation of vegetation to accommodate residential and commercial areas, from diverse plants and shrubs to grassy bushes and herbs, has also shown to be a negative impact on native fauna, as they've been shown to survive and thrive better in areas with more complex vegetation. Lowe, Taylor and Major suggested that birds such as the common myna, the magpie lark and the wagtail are the most common birds to be sighted in an urbanised area, as they are not reliant on diverse vegetation for shelter and food. Smaller birds, or birds more reliant on diverse vegetation, such as parrot species, are less likely. The common myna specifically is a non-native species who is more adaptable to urbanised environments and can source food and shelter from these areas by utilising man-made structures and food sources to replace what they would have had in a bushland area. This bird is listed as a threatening species on the Threatened Species Act and is deemed invasive by PESMA in 2014. There is no document evidence to suggest that the presence of the myna itself inhibits the presence of other native birds. This bird has the better capability to survive in an urbanised area because of its ability to adapt. Research by Lowe, Taylor and Major has also shown that the myna often foraged alongside birds such as the magpie lark or wagtail, and despite perception was less likely to engage in conflict with one of the latter birds. It is more reasonable to suggest that urbanisation, leading to loss of habitat and food sources, is to blame for the demise of native birds, and that the myna has just capitalised on this. All councils play a role in managing their biodiversity. The Local Government Act is a requirement that all councils must manage their land and categorise it as either natural or parks and reserves. All land must have a management plan. Education is also the key aspect of protecting native fauna. Councils must increase public awareness of implications of urbanisation. Local councils must develop initiatives such as replanting trees and replanting native flora in our backyards to encourage native species of birds to return. This inquiry investigates the role of living things in habitat. This links with the Australian curriculum content descriptor, living things depend on each other and the environment to survive. The effect of urbanisation on the habitat of native fauna has been discussed. This discussion identified that urbanisation interfered with the habitat, affecting the vulnerability of native fauna. It also links with the curriculum content descriptor, living things have structural features that help them survive in their environment. This investigates the adaptability of species to environments, which is evident in the introduction of the myna bird that can adapt and acclimate to the urbanised environment better than native species. Based on this link, the inquiry would be best suited to Year 4 or 5 students. Thank you.